Hello YouTube, Rusty Shackelford, CSI Gaming coming at you. Doing a little, in today's episode, I'm just going to do a very short video. Just going to be explaining how signaling works in Train Fever. In this episode, I'm not really going to be doing much, train anything. I'm just going to be showing you guys the signals and what they do, how to lay them, and explaining a little bit of how important the signaling is and placement of them. For instance, this here is the signaling that we're going to be covering. Yes, the first thing to say, when you have a station coming in like this, obviously I'm probably going to do a little more in-depth tutorial in a different episode about laying tracks and whatnot, but I'll just explain this here. A station, you're always going to want these kind of crossovers. Obviously, you're always going to want to put your signals before the station. That way, if there's something in the station over here, your train will be waiting to get in. It's also a good idea to put your signals in an area that you can stage your trains. See how I have these two signals here? One up here, one right here. And if you have a really, really busy rail, probably wouldn't hurt to put one back here. I'm not going to put one there because we don't need one. Alright, so that's that side. Let's explain this over here. The reason I have a 4-rail station is for this purpose here. This rail, these two rails are going to the right and joining the main line. These two rails are joining the left and going to the other side of the main line. Down there I have a town that connects, and down there at the other side of that mountain there's another town. So it only made sense that the traffic that came in, these trains would never have to wait for each other. It also cuts down on time. The signals here are very cut and dry. They're just, these are set here for staging for the station, should it ever get busy. With the current update, the way things are running now, traffic on these streets now finally understand the train. They don't drive through the trains anymore. So they actually will sit and wait at the signals. So it's a good idea to put your signals before an intersection. That way your trains are not blocking your traffic and gridlocking your cities. Unless, of course, you want to gridlock them, then by all means, you can always put your signals, let's see, just like you can put one right here or here, and it'll stop there and wait, but it'll be crossing the road and traffic won't move. Alright, so hopefully this gives you a little better insight on signaling. Like I said, I'm going to keep this video really very short. Right here, this rail that runs off to the side, sorry, I keep zooming in. This rail here is it goes to a wood yard to pick up. Coming out to the main line, you're going to want one signal to tell this train here to stop and wait for mainline traffic. Because you're not going to tell mainline traffic to wait for a freight train. I don't. I'm actually missing a signal right here. Can't place it because the train's there. Alright, this train here crosses over to the left over here to get on that rail. It's a good idea to put a signal here. Let's get this one on. Reason I let that run so I can place this. Now, this is obviously a signal just for the main line. If that train that just turned comes up here and there's one coming down this rail here, it will be told to wait. Otherwise, it'll run. They won't crash, but they'll probably, you know, go at a standstill and look at each other stupid. In the older years, these are the older signals, which I haven't changed over yet. You don't need to. The trains will work just the same. This is just for pure cosmetic reasons. As you look here, this here is the older signal. Does the same thing as the one that has the lights. This here that I have on here is called a checkpoint. If you have trains that you want to run on a specific road or road rail, you can tell them to do that with this checkpoint system. And you tell them how to run that rail with when you're making your routes. Like for instance, this one, you'll place a checkpoint on the rail and then you'll go to add station and you'll click that checkpoint and it'll be added to the roster of, you know, routes or otherwise. I'm heading up here to show you a little bit of different signaling and the reason for it. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cold, so voice is a little weird. So here we have one rail going off to the side over here. We have a signal right here that's waiting for the main, like this main entrance here. This one being what I'm calling the main entrance. The train will come up here and this signal will tell it to stop here. On the same foot, this one is placed here in case any traffic's coming in. You need signals. They are super important to playing this game. Without them, you will just nothing will ever work right. Putting a signal just before the station will cue them. That way, if something is in here, it'll be sitting here waiting for this train to come out and go on this rail. Once it's clear, that train will pull in. And just the exact same thing on this rail. It'll pull up here and sit here and wait for anything coming in on either one of these rails. Once they're clear, it knows to go. If these signals were not here, like for instance, this station here, if there were no signals at all, this train would stay at this station until it found a completely clear rail all the way to where it's going. That one goes over here to these two blue dots you see. Matter of fact, that's the train right there. These two stations is where it picks up, and then over there, where I just was, is where it drops off. If there were no signals, it would sit there and wait for any passenger trains, and it would just sit there until it figured, okay, I can finally go. By putting the signals here, just before the station, it'll tell it that if anything coming in, it'll hold it here. Or let it go, either way. So let's build a small track to explain the placement of signals. Alright, so let's just make believe that this here is, you know, that's a station. Slope is too high. Why do you always gotta do this when I'm trying to explain something? Fuck it, let's just go to this side. So let's just make believe this is a super busy rail. Alright? You got a lot of trains coming in and out of this one place, and it's all connecting to this one station. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put one signal right here. Let's make believe that this is a super long rail. You're going to want another signal right here. Just make believe these are really spread out. Alright, now one train will stop up here and queue right here and wait. Another one will queue right here and wait. And then let's just make believe this is another super long section of rail. And you'll have a third train sitting right here. In the meantime, using our imagination, this train finally leaves and comes back to this rail. One train pulls up and goes in, and they just start pulling up, and they sit at each signal and wait. If you were to just do that, let's just make believe that these two signals here, they're super far apart. These trains will sit at these signals and just wait and wait and wait. By putting them closer together near a station allows them to get your trains closer and manage traffic. Now, I'm going to simulate another style of intersection. There's always a collision, isn't there? Oh well. We did it once with this little rail. Alright, so again, you're running the same scenario. Let's say two trains come off of this rail and you have 2 or 3 coming down this one. Again, you want to put your signal just before this rail and one right there. That way your trains will sit and wait. And again, let's use your imagination to make believe these rails are super far, these signals are super far apart. And you probably, as usual, you're probably going to have a second rail coming out, and going next to this one. Now, these are supposed to be together, but they're not. So your trains are going to be waiting, and this signal is now useless right here. So any trains that are coming into this intersection, they're going to be queued up here waiting. And then of course you're going to have trains on this side. They're going to be queued up waiting, getting into this station here. You do not want a signal here. Okay? If you put a signal right here before the station, you'll have everything. That one train will sit right here and it'll block everything. No trains will come in or come out, and they'll all just, lack of a better word, they'll get clusterfuck. So this is a no-no. What you want to do is put a signal here just before this junction so it knows to stop before the junction. The train will come in down here, it'll unload, it'll come back through, it'll jump on this rail and go home. In the meantime, you'll have 1 or 2 trains sitting here waiting. These signals will be telling them when they can go. Once it finds it clear, the trains automatically just kind of work themselves out. They always do, as long as you have signals put in the proper area. If you guys are wondering, I am running a sound mod that allows... It just turns the bulldozer noise into what you just heard instead of that stupid bulldozer sound. I don't really have much to talk about on the rest of this now. I suppose I can explain why these signals look the way these do. One train runs up and down this rail. One train runs up and down this rail. And one train runs up and down this rail. So 3 trains go through here. So this one is just kind of like making believe that this is a one rail. They just happen to be next to each other. The reason they do that is because they don't need to be up and down. I mean, they could. Going back down here, it's just the way I'm running this area. Again, you know, this rail, this signal here is for this way and that way. And then same for this rail. One up, one back. But if you look here, it splits off and goes left. This one goes straight. That's the reason these signals are put here. They're put like that for convenience. I'm going to zoom up and show you the difference up here. See how these little blue lines or blue dots? These are signals from up high. When you spread them out like this at this distance, like you see how they're all spread out here. Once a train goes through this signal, it'll go through this one, that one, that one, that one. Okay? So if you have two trains running through, as soon as the train passes through this signal, it'll allow this signal to turn green and keeps going all the way up. That way your trains keep going. If you don't have these signals spread out, as I said before, a train will sit at a station and do nothing. You will notice that there are no signals down here at all. That's because only one train runs up and down these, both of these. If you only have one train running a rail, you never need a signal for it. It's only when you put more than one train. You know, 2 or 3 trains running down the same rail. From the sky, you see all these blue dots? All of these blue dots represent a signal. From way up here, it gets kind of confusing when you don't know what you're looking at. But when you zoom down, they start to kind of show the picture. The reason these signals here are what they're doing is this one here is basically telling there's always going to be a couple trains running across this rail. So this signal here is telling it that it's fine to cross over. This one here, the one that's highlighted, that's the other side mainland. It's going to be coming through, and if something's crossing over, you won't have gridlock. You have one here that comes out to the main line. That one's just basically, again, so you don't have gridlock. If it's green, it'll come right on the main line. No big deal. These signals that are put down here are for queuing purposes for the station. You got one here. I have another one just up the road here. And then you have your final one up here. Remember earlier I told you to make believe that the rails were super far apart? This was what I was talking about. These signals are here for when something comes in down the other way. And then your trains can stage. That's pretty much about it. I know it's kind of confusing and I use the word signal a lot, but that's what this tutorial and quick video is all about. Just kind of wanted to show you guys, those who are new to this game and don't quite understand what signals do, that is what they do. I mentioned earlier what a waypoint does. I will show you just briefly real quick before I end this video. Alright, we're going to put a waypoint right here. And let's just make a make-believe line. So you got your line going. Let's say you want this station to run, and to make this work I'm going to have to click another station. So now that train will go there. But on its way home, you know, it's a perfect explanation right here. And it's actually doing what I was hoping. It's going to this lane over here, but you don't want it to go over here. You want it to be on this line. Well, that's simple. Click the checkpoint. You see how those lanes changed? You're now telling it to be on this lane. I will show you the difference. Same thing. Let's put another waypoint on the other side. And again, let's say you wanted it not to be on this, the one it's on now. You wanted it to be on the other one. Well, same thing. Click the waypoint, and it now changes. It's that simple. Waypoints are very handy when your trains won't cooperate. Even though you know they should be on one set of rails, they're not listening. So let's show you from this different view. Let's remove this waypoint. Yeah, see how it went back to this one. It does the same thing, it's no big deal, but I'm just showing you what these do. So let's click the waypoint again, you'll see the rail change. And that's a different style of signal. It doesn't control traffic, it just directs traffic. Nothing more, nothing less. And that's pretty much about it. That's all I got for you on signaling. So I'm going to end the video here. Thank you for watching, and please give me a like, subscribe, and I'll try to put out anything I can to help you guys out. This is Rusty Shackelford signing off.
Never curse your name. I keep my lips shut tight until you